Slack and E Major welcome you to the My Type of Hype podcast, where we celebrate hip-hop, not just the hype.
How y'all feel out there?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to the My Type of Hype podcast. With me, your host in the building, your boy Slack, and my co-host on my left-hand side. What's happening, brother?
Very good, man. E Major, we're here. My Type of Hype, the podcast that celebrates hip hop and not just the hype. Slack, we say, Nicole?
Can't complain, bro. Can't complain. All is well. All is well.
Nice.
So what we got for this week, man? What's in the can?
Yeah, before we talk about Gatekeepers today, man, good discussion about hip hop, man. Here we are again, still celebrating. Gift from the wifey and that, still celebrating 50 years of this beautiful thing we love, man. The discussions, the debates, everything you name it, all rolled into one. But one of the things that comes up a lot is gatekeepers, you know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to read the actual definition because obviously the word's thrown out a lot. But the word gatekeeping, it means the activity of controlling and usually limiting general access to something, right? So we know hip hop is this beautiful thing, open to everyone. But you know how it goes, something that starts off for a sort of select few people, and then it really takes off. And then obviously the whole world, you know what I mean? The whole world is a part of it now and consuming it, which is good in some respects. But I've heard a lot of discussions about people saying that hip hop should have gatekeepers, or it shouldn't have gatekeepers, or they think they're gatekeepers. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it'd be a little bit of a good opportunity to have a discussion around that. So to kick it all off, let me ask you, what's your thoughts on gatekeeping in hip hop? Do you think it exists, first of
all? No, I don't think it does, really. Mm-hmm. If it did, then we wouldn't see a lot of the stuff that we see happening to hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I think hip hop is for sale to the highest bidder. I think all black culture is for sale to the highest bidder. We've seen what's happened to. We've seen what's happened to classic movies like How High. You know what I mean? They've gone and done a part 2 with No Meth, No Red. We've seen what they've done with the remakes of House Party and all this other stuff. You know, not just movies, but actual, you know, staples in the culture. They just remake them, put whoever in there, just taking the piss. You got a load of artists now who would never have got a record deal if there was still, you know, A&Rs or gatekeepers. You got a load of people talking about just shit that they've got no possible inclination of knowing, all over the internet, just talking all this nonsense about this, that, and the other. So I think people talk a lot of shit on Twitter, but there's no actual active gatekeeping of the culture at all that's happening. But it's a tricky one because, you know, hip hop initially started for the audience that received it. You know what I mean? It was for us, as it were. But as it grew, people wanted it to grow bigger. So they started making more pop records and stuff like that. Then they complain about gatekeeping. But then you see what happened with what was that guy's name? When he did that country record.
Country record. Oh, Lil Nas X.
Yeah, that clown. They did the that whole thing when he did a country record and country people like nobody now. Yeah. So everyone was like, oh wow, so that's what gatekeeping actually looks like. Like you're stopping the bullshit from infiltrating. There's none of that. None in hip hop. Like we've got, if you look at it, we are just clown show, minstrel show nonsense that's out there. Like if you look at, people must literally look at it now and just be like, what the fuck? Even people that's not like 100%. In the culture or whatever, they must look at it now and just be like, what is going on? I remember I was watching a video the other day, and someone was laughing at that Sexy Red Girl, and as he was reading the lyrics and he's laughing, like genuinely, like what is going on? This white dude was literally reading through, and as he was reading it, I was cringing myself. Like, it sounds even worse when you're reading it. It sounds even worse than it sounds on a record when you're just reading it out. It's just mindless. So the short answer is no, we don't have any gatekeepers in hip hop. Do I want it to be gate kept? Yes, because I don't want to happen to hip hop the same thing that happened to rock and roll with Elvis and every other genre of music that was stolen from black folks and made it out like it wasn't ours. We can all see where it's going now. Do you know what I mean? You listen to the discourse and it's like people that have dropped one album or whatever, like Ice Spice getting thrown into greatest New York MCs when you haven't got people like, you know, Chic Luch on there, Black Rob on there, or loads of myriad of other people. And then you've got some idiot at Complex who's probably never even been to New York in his life, writing about the greatest 50 New York MCs. You've left off a rack. I'd put the whole Wu-Tang on there, even Master Ace, Master Killer.
Master Killer, yeah.
But, and I don't mean in a sense of keeping people out of it, but I mean a sense of, if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be able to make money off this culture. Or if you don't give a shit about this culture, you shouldn't be able to make money off this culture. And I can't remember who said it. I think it was Busta. It was either Busta or someone from De La Soul. I think it was on De La Soul album. And there was a skit and he was like, there's too many people in hip hop that don't love hip hop that make money from hip hop.
Of course, yeah, man.
Like we've got people like Vlad, we've got people like Adam 22, we've got people like Rap House TV and all these clowns who just take the worst possible parts of hip hop, get clicks off it, make money off it, and then you got people talking all this shit about Caribbeans and Africa. Like Dashians and Africans is not the problem about claiming where it started. Like who cares where it started? You ain't making no money off it. You don't own it. Like let's keep it in perspective. I don't give a shit where it started. We all know it's a Black American culture. Like that's not up for question. But then don't complain to other people for enjoying it or talking about it when you don't even own it. Like let's get some ownership, so that we can stop people from taking the piss as they're doing. So
I do. I mean, and the crazy thing about, you know, them kind of like Rap House and all them pages, they're all blocked on my social media things because most of the time, anytime you see a whole madness going on in the things that they're promoting, the things that they're broadcasting, like Vlad and these other things, man, not Vlad, sorry, the TMZ of hip hop and them kind of things, it's like you just know people that just don't care about the culture. All they want, like you said, is the clickbait. It's almost to a point where like they're laughing at us, like they're mocking us. Look at these animals, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And they have and we know what goes on in the culture, of course, we know that, but they don't have any desire to even uplift the culture or promote what needs promoting or anything like that. But someone was saying the other day that them lists where they put your Ice Spice over some I didn't even look at the list, but I saw someone talking. Yeah, and they were talking about Cool G. I think Cool G was way down the list somewhere. And they had put like Ice Spice and some of these people over some like credible MCs, you know. And they're saying us hating on Ice Spice or nothing like that. I don't think she can rap. Do you know what I mean? And other people like that, I particularly don't think they're good lyricists or good rappers. Maybe they make decent music to be consumed, but lyrically, how are you considering her over certain people? When you was talking, it froze a little bit on my end, but I caught what you're saying about Wu having a whole Wu over her. And it's like, you know, it's just little things. Like someone was saying recently that those lists are intentionally put out with mad structure like that to just get people talking about it, because they don't care about the lists. They don't care about promoting DMCs that need the promoting. All they care about is, are people going to be talking about our article? And that's why I block those pages and I don't talk about it, because they're getting what they want. They want a response from the culture that they're feeding off that they don't even care about. Yeah. So, you know, in agreement with what you said, there is no gatekeeping. The thing that really annoys me, right, is that you get all these gangsters, all these crews and all these, you know, people that go like they're complete G's, quick to kill each other, quick to put a gun on another black man, quick to do whatever they're going to do, quick. And then you look at people like when people from our group of people get hurt or get abused or get like you don't see no ramifications for that. You see what I'm saying? Like you'll see his name's got Trayvon Martin's killer walk around no way. Like all these people that do these kind of things to people like that, they're walking around free, untouched, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm making is that everyone's got the talk. Oh, that could never happen. That could never happen. That could never happen. It's exactly the same with hip hop. When people say, oh, this is our culture. This is for us. This is by us. We need to protect our culture. We need to defend our culture. But nothing is done to defend the culture. When they see mad people eating off the culture vultures, abusing the culture, you don't see people standing up against them. Like you'll always see people, how are you sitting on Vlad's couch and sharing your whole life story? How you like gassing on Vlad's couch and saying all this and that? You'll never catch me on nothing. Tutus, they're on Vlad's thing next week. You know what I'm saying? It's like they get a phone call, I'll pay you this. They're on Vlad's couch. Like some of the most respected MCs that we like and we respect. We'll see them sit down and have a whole chin wag with Vlad. And it's like, why is that? Because it's like, if you really feel that people like Vlad are culture vultures, bro, don't entertain them by sitting and giving them an interview. Because what's going to happen is everyone's going to tune in and give Vlad his clicks. You see what I'm saying? Give him his views. Not that I particularly agreed with it, but it reminds me of when the whole, and I know you remember this, when the whole Westwood and KRS-One thing happened. Remember in '97, when KRS-One went on Westwood's show and basically dissed him. You remember? Like it just spoke for that. Bro, '97. So what happened was, I'm trying not to expose no one too much, but what happened was KRS-One was on Westwood, innit? And Westwood had him on the show. And basically I'm listening to this. I knew it was gonna happen, innit? Someone told me about it. And it was like, what's this? So it was all a plan, basically. KRS was like, I'm going to tell him about himself. I'm going to go on and I'm going to cuss him. Basically, he was like, bro, like, he was like, you've never had me on air before. But why have you got me on air now? Because I'm stepping to a world went '1.
Yeah, I was going to say, 97 was the I Got Next album. So you must have been
step into a world. So he's like, oh, because I've got like a song on like the poppy charts over here, you've got me on here. Like, you've never had me on air before. You know what I mean? So he just went on a whole, you can probably still find it on YouTube, bro. It's like 30, 40 minutes.
Never even heard about that, bro. Never heard about that.
Bro. Everyone was like, rah, did you hear KRS go in on Westwood? But yeah, he went in. Yeah, man. But it was all because obviously, you know, people like Numbers and that. When Westwood was really, really commercial, you would always count on Numbers to bring over your, you know what I mean? Your
Numbers was
your underground. Numbers like 279 was really for the underground, you know. And I've said it a million times on here.
For them, always from the beginning, he always repped for all the underground rap from way.
This is what it was. Always.
And he used to get tickets for the shows and all of that kind of stuff. So man, big up to Numbers. Man.
Big up Numbers, big time, man. And he's doing his thing now as well. Not now, he always has been, but as most of us know, he took a break from the game for a while. But he's back doing his flavors of the month and everything like that. He's got a massive 50th hip hop anniversary show in about 2 weeks' time, actually. I think it's in Kentish Town, where he's just got loads of heads over, man. Like Onyx, Big Daddy Kane, Master Ace, Marco Polo, just a massive list of people, man. So shout out to Numbers, man, to support that if you can. Yeah, but yeah, so Numbers was like always there for the underground, as you know, and like I've said before a million times, I'm not one of these heads that I feel I need to choose. I love commercial hip hop, I love underground hip hop, I like one. If it's good, it's good. But yeah, so he just felt like, nah, this Western Chinese me to feed off of the, you know what I mean, my popularity at the moment. He ain't got me over here because I'm a staple in hip hop or he respects who I am or what I do. I'm here because I've got a song that's broken into the pop charts. You know what I mean? So it's things like that. That's why I said I'm not saying I particularly agree with it. Like, but what I liked was the fact that he said, like, what you're doing ain't for the culture. You know what I'm saying? That you having me on here at this point in my career, 97 in KRS's career, he had been around like 12, 13 years.
At least.
And it's like, you've got me here now because of that. So I feel like they're the kind of things that we need to do a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? Because, and it's a tricky one because it's like EPMD, the crossover song, right? Funny enough, that was their most popular song up to that point. Like when they done the track about crossing over, that was the only song that was a commercial success for them at the point, kind of thing. But it's like, we want to eat off of this thing. We want to do well. You want to do well commercially. If you don't want to, it's a, you know what I mean? You want to eat off of it, innit? But then it's like, when it goes to that point, it's hard because it's almost like you love the hair celebrating 50 years of hip hop. We love what it's achieved. Like, I love it. Like on the TV all day on Friday, it was just all hip hop programs, and I loved it. I'm sitting there thinking, what did I go to see recently? I went to see Turtles. Yeah, what's it? Mutant Mayhem. Yeah. Took my son to see that soundtrack littered with hip hop. Do you know what I mean? The last Transformers soundtrack littered with hip hop. So many other random films you see, adverts on the telly, littered with hip hop, and you love to see it. But there's an element where you feel protective. You're like, I love it, and I love the exposure, but at the same time, we still need to protect this thing because it goes to certain areas where it's just getting abused, and it's just getting raped, and it's just getting sold. Do you know what I mean? One more thing, the Wu-Tang episode, the series, season 3, where Power and them were doing obviously the Wu-Tang clothes. And so obviously it's a great thing. They've got the new Wu-Tang clothes, they've got the Wu-Tang store, Wu Wear and all of that thing. And he's like, boy, these people want to buy the clothes off me, the logo, the rights and everything, but they're going to take it in some weird direction. So Raekwon was like saying to Power, like, you know what, nah, let's all come together, put our money together, we buy it and it's ours. We do what we want with it. But then it was like I
heard Raekwon tell that story.
It's everywhere. Huh?
I heard Raekwon telling that same story.
Right, exactly. So it's almost one of the things, you want the exposure, but you still at the same time, you want it to be yours. You know what I'm saying? So it needs to have that. So yeah, there isn't enough gatekeeping in hip hop. I think where the attempts of gatekeeping is taking place are in the wrong areas. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to gatekeep what people like and listen to. Like, nah, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about who has control over these things. All your, I was going to say complex, but I don't know for sure, but a lot of these big organizations, the people behind it, they're not for the culture at all. So their mindset isn't
anti it, like Rolling Stone. They wouldn't have a black editor or black artist and all this, but now it's popping. It's like, oh yeah, let's include him. Like, what? And this is the thing. Like, if there was gatekeepers, that shit would not be happening. It's as simple as that. It wouldn't be allowed. Let's look at something a little bit deeper, right? De La Soul. Now I know you're not the biggest fan, but
but the respect is there,
But there should never be an instance where De La Soul are not getting paid for their catalog and having to beg Tommy Boy Records to release their shit, to be able to eat off all those years, 3 decades worth of music that they weren't able to eat off for how long? Little Brother, same thing. They released the album 20 years ago that they said they never saw a penny from. Blue and Exile, they released an album 20 years ago that they've never seen a penny from. Not a penny, they said, not a penny. They've gone and toured off this music. They've sold vinyls and CDs and all of that. They're not seeing a penny. So, you know what I mean? That shit wouldn't be happening if hip hop was gate-kept properly. Exactly. But as I said right at the beginning, it all comes down to that. It's that, and it's a lot of people who maybe sign contracts that they should never have signed from when they was, you know, we all done dumb shit as kids. If someone comes to you as a 18, 19-year-old and says, I'm going to give you 50K, you've never seen that amount of money in your life. Like, you go to the bank, you see like 50K in there. You're like, wow. But little do you know that 50K has got to pay for everything. Your styling, this, that, and I feel like it's an advance in it. But little do you know how much the record label will make off that. So if you think, who is signing that check for 50K? How much is the person who signs that check worth? If all of this stuff was actually looked at and gate kept, we wouldn't be seeing what's happening. what I'm starting to see and what I'm starting to like is some artists are taking their own careers in their own hands and their own destinies in their own hands. So I'm seeing people like Ransom, his last album, he put it up on a specific website, so you couldn't go to Spotify or whatever and listen to that shit. You had to go to his website and pay for it in order to hear it. He's been doing that for a minute.
RJ Payne does that a lot.
RJ Payne does it. So I think for you to really see who rocks with you and whatever, because I think RJ Payne said it best. He was like, look, everyone ain't gonna love me, and that's fine, but I've got a core audience of fans who I'm feeding, and they basically will keep him afloat. I think more artists need to do that, because once they go to, you know, the big labels, we know what happens usually. Some of them are like, you know, I've been looked after, but you're only looked after if you secure the bottom line. Like, if the label ain't just gonna like you because they like you as a person, you have to deliver. It's like, if I don't deliver at work, they might like me, but you know, I'm not delivering. So, you know, I've got to get business at some point. Right.
Yeah.
So I think if we were at a point where we can have control of what's going on in our own culture, manage our own destiny, as it were, rather than waiting for other people to say yes or whatever it is, then we'll be in a better position. But gatekeeping it against, you know, people who are going to have opinions anyway, like you can't do that, because, you know, it's readily available. And I guarantee you, these people who have all these opinions, if they had to go out and buy the music that they talk so much shit about, you would hear nothing from them, because they're not going to go out and buy it. Do you know what I'm saying? The only reason they can even talk is because they can stream it on their phone. If you couldn't stream it on your phone, you wouldn't be hearing this music, because you're not going to put your money into it. So there's a lot there, man. There's a lot that annoys me, because like you rightly said, too many people are trying to gatekeep amongst the wrong people. Like, you should be mad at the people who are actually making this shit happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's certain things, like, I don't like seeing dumb opinions either, but you can just scroll past the dumb opinion.
Exactly.
But when I'm seeing like people like Little Brother, like, not getting their money, De La Soul not getting it, and there's many, you know, we did the female rapper episode last week, and I'm thinking, we were talking about the discographies of a lot of these girls. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of them have dropped one album and disappeared, bro. Or it's like, oh yeah, you're too old now, or whatever. And it's like, what? How you telling?
Crazy.
So there needs to be, but I don't know where it's going to come from. The problem is, I don't know, because that's the reason why Dame Dash got blackballed, because he, for a long time, was trying to gatekeep it. So he went up against flipping Leo and all them guys, and he was like, look, don't interfere with what I've got going on over here. And then they've basically removed him from the equation. So now he's constantly fighting to, and what his message has always been pretty consistent. He was like, the reason that I'm looked at as the bad guy is because that's what they painted me as, because I was trying to protect my team. I was trying to protect the intellectual property of me, Jay, Memphis, everything that we had going on at Rockefeller. That's why I was aggressive, because I have to be aggressive in protecting, and I totally respect it. He even said I might not have had the right delivery, because sometimes you got to lower your voice in the presence of people,
as a black person as well.
Do you know what I mean? You're
angry black man,
so you're too angry or whatever. It's like, I'm angry. You're trying to steal from me. Of course I'm angry. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot to be said, man. There's a few people who have been outliers and been like, I'm not for sale. But the problem is that for every one person that says they're not for sale, there's another 10 people that are definitely for sale. And the problem is, that's it, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many people with their hand out, like, I'll do whatever it takes. And you know, like, a lot of these artists now, the stuff that they're saying, the nonsense, it's not credible.
There's an audience for it, but we need to, the value needs to be placed on hip hop, because on one sense, you look at hip hop and you look at the huge mega monster that it's become, but the value needs to be put in it from the right people. Like, a lot of people look at it as like, it's a cash cow. You see what I'm saying? And that's why that respect is put on it for the money side of thing. Like you said, and jokes aside, I'm not the biggest De La Soul fan, but as I've said a million times, I know they got classics. I can recognize them as classics, and I know they're an iconic group, and I got nothing but love and respect for them. You know, Dove, rest in peace. I met him in New York one time. Cool guy. Do you know what I mean? I got a lot of love for them. But there's no way that De La Soul, as staples in hip hop as they are, should have been in that position. Do you know what I mean? And Little Brother and stuff like that. They didn't really. Dave didn't even really get to reap the benefits of it even being on streaming, because unfortunately he passed. You know what I mean? And like you said about RJ Payne, yeah, them things are good, because I ain't even gonna lie. Sometimes I used to think of, like, man, why is there a streaming service and then you're not putting your stuff on streaming? But bro, I fully understand it, because you're not eating when it's on streaming. The pence that you're getting from that, whereas someone spends a whole £10 or something on your album from a website, you're eating off the majority of that. So you got to do what you got to do. But I was going to say, it's like, I always use this as an example. No disrespect to football, which is a perfect example. You look at what footballers get paid, yeah, for what they're doing. I don't care what anyone says to me. It's a game. You understand what I'm saying? You look at the money they get paid, but then you look at nurses and all these other people, school teachers, all these other people struggling to survive, bro. Like, sometimes they got like little weekend jobs, or you name it, struggling to survive because of what they get paid. Now, are you going to tell me you playing football is more valuable to the world than that nurse that's just trying to save someone's life, right? Or that teacher who is trying, not that I agree with the whole national the curriculum, you know what I mean? But that teacher who's trying to impart something in the future, what's more valuable? Really? We know what is. But the reason why footballers can get all that ridiculous money is because the value is placed on that. It's way more than the value that's placed on the other things. So sponsorship and all these other things, they're not breaking any budgets to pay footballers that. The money's there to do it because the value's there. That's how hip hop needs to be seen. We can't be making all this money for everyone else, but yet rappers are still struggling. I don't care how big your chain is and how much diamonds you got in it. What do you own? That's the mindset as well. So I'm saying, you're getting money now. Of course you're going to splash out. I don't care what no one says. You're going to splash out. Yeah. And that's allowed. That's cool. But the mindset is, I'm doing well, I'm successful if I've got this kind of jewelry, or I've got that kind of car, or I've got this. No, like, you should really be having all these other type of investments. These are, properties, stores, all, because hip hop, even though we're celebrating 50 years, hip hop is a young genre. Like, you look at people, like, I always think about that group, what are they called? The Final Countdown. I can't remember what the group's called. Yeah. You look at all these European pop groups and all that, bro. They've had one smash hit. They are still touring, still eating, still living off of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yet you'll get some iconic hip hop legends, yeah, that can't fill stadiums now. You know what I mean? Or they're not eating like that off of those things, because it's like the value isn't there. It is from us who are within the culture, and we need to promote that. Like, no disrespect to new artists, because hip hop's going to evolve. Without the new, it will die. So I've always got love for what people are doing new. You get me? May not particularly like it all, but I understand what it is. But for me, this 50 years of hip hop, I expect there to be, most of these celebrations should be about the legends, should be about the architects, those who laid the blueprint for hip hop. You see what I'm saying? Not about like a lot of the newer artists or what's happening now, because without that, we wouldn't have this. But you don't see it. It's that respect ain't there. The disrespect of the older artists, the disrespects of the legends and that. Maybe you didn't like the way they rapped. Maybe it was very simple, unless you're like, you know what I mean, Cool G or Rakim or something like that. But maybe it was simple to you. But without that, we wouldn't have what we're celebrating now. Like, put some respect on what they've done. And I thought that's where the gatekeeping needs to come in. We shouldn't even allow all of. I'm not talking about preference. That's cool, but we shouldn't allow the disrespect of certain things. You know what I mean? Like someone said, if you're coming into this culture, especially as an artist, right? you need to do the homework. Like, you need to know what came before. I'm not saying you need to be a historian, but you know what I mean? Don't just look at it as something you can eat off of, even though you can eat off of it, but invest in the culture, man. Like, yeah, the gatekeeping's in the wrong areas, man. Like, that's what the kind of things we need to be looking at. You know,
It's
content,
areas,
where the culture's going.
You got someone like academics who can sit around and talk shit about everybody.
Yeah,
Like, I've never seen a guy DJ. I've never seen him produce a song or whatever.
yeah,
But you know, he sits around talking shit about people. Never to their face though, which is interesting.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
unless you're a girl,
unless you're a woman, yeah. But that's another thing where I was like, people are still like giving even that behavior a pass, because I can't imagine anyone. I've heard about everyone running up to radio stations back in the day because their song wasn't getting played, or someone was trying to get smart on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
People have run up to radio stations before. Do you know what I mean? And I'm using academics specifically because of what's happened in the recent past with him talking shit about Erica Badu of all people. So I was like, oh, boy, I can't imagine this happening back in the day. If he was talking that shit about Erica or whoever else, something would have been said or done. But it's almost like now. It's like, all right, cool. But again, we are for sale to whoever. Someone is giving this dick enough powers for him to feel like he can say whatever he wants to whoever he wants. And that seems to be indicative of the time that we're in now. Like, how many times have you seen say, you know what I mean, the Mike Tyson phrase where you should get punched in the mouth more or some shit like that. But it's like that's literally where we're at now, bro. So you can be whoever you want. You can make up whatever persona. Like, look how long it took for people to figure out Rap House TV was Indian. People's like, you know what I mean? They're taking all this shit. But I never got the vibes. If I don't get the vibes, I'm not in it. I just never had the vibe from the beginning that they were anything to do with because the stuff that they kept putting up was just all negative. And like you said, it was like you said, it's almost like they're mocking us. Like, look at the shit that you lot get involved in. Mm-hmm. Look at you idiots. That's what it feels like. And people are engaging with this degenerate behavior. So straight away, before anything was found out about them, I didn't rock with them. But when it came out, I wasn't surprised, because I said for time from the beginning, I was like, they ain't black dudes behind that account. It's not. Because if there's a mixture, if you're like you're bigging up albums like Check the Rhyme does all the time. Like, every week, my man's in the list of the albums that he's talking about. Albums are coming, or so my man's engaged in the culture.
Yeah, he's for the culture, definitely.
Like, he'll be promoting artists and all of that good stuff. Now, if they were doing that too, they were promoting artists and using their platform for good, then you could say, all right, if he talks shit every now and again, that's cool.
Because we do that, don't we? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We promote, but we also take the piss out of each other. We have a laugh. I
might talk shit about an artist or whatever. It don't mean I've got any malice about them. It means I could talk shit about artists that I love. They could talk shit about me. It's fine. That's what we do in hip hop. We talk shit about people. But to actually like be threatening people and all that kind of stuff, like, that's a whole different thing than saying you can't rap or whatever it may be. But my point being, like, if we did have some kind of gatekeeping in the culture, all of this shit would not be. We wouldn't have all of this. Like you was talking about, Vlad. It's a vicious circle, because whatever happens, he will get a click off it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Whatever. If he comes out tomorrow and he I don't know, he's dissing someone, right? In order for you to see what he said about this person, you're gonna have to click. That click is monetary to him. So the only way that you can physically make it happen is by turning your back. I've done my bit, and I've said it at the beginning. I've never fucked that guy ever, because I know what he's about. And when he started, when he was doing whatever it was he was doing, and he was trying to pit Ransom against Joe Budden back in the day, that's why Joe still don't fuck with him to this day. Yeah, and that's why you never see Ransom go on there. Or I think I don't know if Ransom and him had a chat or something, but Joe has basically said, "I'll never have anything to do with that." Someone could have died off the back of that. Seriously, because that's how.
But he would have loved that, though.
That's what I'm saying.
That, bro.
And
look how excited he gets when them things happen.
Did happen, he would. The first thing that would be when a couple of rappers have passed away recently. The first thing that bitch does is go back into the archives, pull up an interview that he did to them, and put it up as soon as they pass.
Exactly.
So immediately you're like, damn. So dude's trying to make money off this dude that's literally just passed.
Exactly.
That put up videos of these rappers on the ground bleeding out, dying, and you can just log on and just see that shit. Like, wow, they have no respect for anything that they're making money off. But what fucks me up the most? Do you think I can go and do that in their culture? Do you think I could set up some channel and go start talking about Russian Jewish music and Russian Jewish culture and make a whole heap of money off it? Nah, they can only do it to us. That's the bit that pisses me off the most as well.
You'd be apologizing before you even be able to do anything else. Like,
shit. The funny thing is,
put out an apology.
I saw another one. Was it this morning? No Name's new album apparently is causing some problems now because Jay Electronica has got a verse on there, and he's saying whatever. Well, I listened to it a few times and I'm like, I don't know. But you know, they tried to make Jamie Foxx apologize the other day for nothing.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, mad.
So again, if we had something strong enough where we could be like, listen, man, either you listen to it and you like it, or you listen to it and you don't. I don't give a shit. I'm not apologizing for every line, every word, every this, that. So it's almost like you have to be subservient and be like, oh, I'm sorry. But anything happens to us, there's no apologies. Like, you know, who made Vlad apologize for putting up videos of dying rappers, or Adam 22 or all of that, putting up videos of rappers dying, or money off beef, promoting 6ix9ine and all that fuckery that was going on. Who's making them apologize for all of that? Nobody. They just sit around and go, at least he's got a bag though. At least he's rich though. That's the mentality of these dickheads.
Yeah.
So
it's all a plan. That's all they do. Like you said, where's like we never get that apology. Like you say one thing out of line. Like, but yet, you know, everyone could be talking about Jamie Foxx saying he's a clone and be making all type of stupid things when man nearly died. But he says one thing that was just misconstrued by the Jewish community. Man's up there apologizing. I never meant that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, and you know, half the time they don't want to, but they feel like they need to. But like when you're a R&B singer or a sports person or this and that, you do some crime, local rapper. Bro, I ain't rapped in my life, but I'm a local rapper because I'm you know what I mean? And I've done this. Or when they put a picture up of a black artist or a black actor, and then it's the completely wrong name, like a completely different person. Like, do we all look the same?
Luther Vandross and Master P. Remember that the other day? Like, how do you even get like their name ain't even similar?
Where's the apology? You know what I think of? I think of like my kids, yeah. You know what siblings rivalry is like, man. My kids would be in the house and argue till they're blue in the face. So I hate arguing, and I get them. I mean, I hate when they argue. I'm always trying to get them to stop it anyway. But the point I'm making is that I say to them, listen, I don't care how much you argue in this house. The moment you go to school, right, and someone tries to say something against your sibling, listen, I don't care if you just physically had a fight with your sibling this morning. You better forget that and defend your sibling. You know what I'm saying? I don't let no outsider. To clarify, when I say outsider, and I mean it for the coach as well, I don't mean race. I just mean don't let no outsider. Come and infiltrate that. You are family. You get me? You do that. If you come home and argue again, cool. But don't let no one feel like they can get you to turn on your sibling. Are you mad? That can't happen. Right. So for me, I feel like hip hop needs to be like, and that's why there's a lot of discussion about race and that as well. And there's no black people at hip hop concerts and all that. Listen, I don't care. I don't care if you're for the culture. You invest in the culture. You support the culture. You love the culture. I genuinely don't care. It's never a race thing. But what I don't like is when just the things that we allow to take place within our culture. Like, don't let no outsiders come and mess us up or put us against each other and blah blah blah. Like, we say, oh yeah, what album do you prefer? What MC do you prefer? That's just the culture, and it's always been like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like when I put things up and people are like, oh, why do you need to put? I'm not putting anyone against anyone. I'm just saying which one do you prefer. It's discussions. That's what we do.
Keyword.
But you know what I mean? Exactly. That's why I never say best.
Anyone against anyone. It's asking which do you like best. That's it.
Exactly. I go to all my tweets. I never say best. Always prefer. It's one of those things. Like, you know what I mean? Rest in peace. God rest his soul. And that we just heard news that Magoo passed away recently. Have I ever been a Magoo fan? Never. You know what I mean? Like, I've never thought, oh, Magoo's sick. I've never thought that. No. But someone said today, they was like, oh, man, I can't believe he's gone. He was like in my top 10 of all time. For me, I thought, rah, Magoo's in someone's top 10. That's actually mad to me. But I'm not going to think like, oh, are you mad? How can you have Magoo in your top 10? Listen, why? Because everyone likes what they like, isn't it? Maybe you love his voice, you love his flow, you love his creativity. He's in your top 10. That's what makes the culture beautiful. Imagine everyone like the same thing. Like, people gatekeeping the wrong things. Like, don't tell a man what he needs to love, what he needs to like, who needs to be his favorite. Let's just enjoy the culture, because if that was the case, there'd be a huge pocket of people that are never eating, because everyone only likes Jay-Z, everyone only likes Biggie, everyone only likes Kendrick Lamar. I thank God that Magoo's in someone's top 10, because at least I know he's got a fan base and he's eating. You see what I'm saying?
I don't believe that, though. Crack on.
Yeah?
I don't believe that, dude. I'm sorry, man, but we said this before. We was like, there's got to be a point.
I read it twice.
Everyone who ever rapped is going to be in someone's top 10. Like, it's a fact.
Yeah.
There's no way if he was still here, God rest his soul, that people would be like, yeah, he's in my, like, you. How long have I been on Twitter? I've never in my life. I was
just going to say, never heard him mentioned
until today, but it is what it is.
But, and there's definitely that as well. There's no doubt about that. So I shout out to Kill when he gives all the stands their names. I find it hilarious, man. But you know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that we're gatekeeping the wrong things, you know what I mean? So let me throw a question to you. We've been speaking a little while about if we think gatekeepers there. We both established that it is and it isn't. It isn't how it needs to be.
It's there.
People got all the chat. Yeah.
Twitter, but Twitter doesn't mean anything. Like,
it's not real, as
and say my name is, and people will believe it. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. It's not there.
Try and gain a picture of who you are on Twitter, but you get what I let you see. You don't have any idea
100%.
what I'm like with my girl, when I'm at home with my boys. You've got when I'm in my job. You've got no idea about that. You only have an idea about what I let you see, or what I
put out,
what I make you
100.
think I might believe, or whatever it may be. So Twitter doesn't matter. You like going in on flipping whoever on Twitter doesn't mean shit, because nothing changes in the real world. Nothing changes.
You log off and that's it.
You log, you just exit the app and then that's it. Like, no one cares. And then you moved on to another argument tomorrow about something else. What I would like to see, and which I can't see happening, because I know hip hop has been hit probably the most out of all the other genres, because pirating was such a big thing from way back. When Nas was meant to drop, the I Am album, and that got a flipping bootleg. What was that? 96?
9?
No, it would 99. Would 99?
99.
So even back then, we were having problems with piracy and stuff like that. So hip hop has always been that one where people who try to get, Onyx was talking about bootleggers back in 93.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So hip hop has always been like the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest to replicate. Everyone thinks that they can rap. Everyone thinks that they can put 2 bars together.
So true.
However terrible it is, everyone thinks that they can rap now. When I was a kid, I never thought I could rap like Nas, because guess what? I can't rap like Nas. I never thought I could rap like Biggie. I never thought I could rap like Redman. I listened to them because I was in awe of what they were able to do on the microphone. Busta Rhymes, all those kind of guys. I was like, damn, I could never do that shit.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I could do that shit. I could do that. And I think because because the route into being an artist now is so easy. That's why. And because there's no gatekeeping, the quality is low. And just whoever has access to it as well, and try to tell people what they should and shouldn't say on a record. Yeah. Like, that's another thing that I don't understand. We have the parental advisory sticker. It's massive. You can't miss it. It's right there on every rap album. It's usually bottom right or bottom left. So why would you go into an album that says parental advisory, like explicit lyrics, and then complain? Right. Because they've warned you from the door. There's some shit on here that you might not like to hear.
So don't listen.
Don't listen. Don't listen. Leave it alone, and we'll listen to it for you because we enjoy it. We enjoy that kind of stuff. But again, like, you've got a load of people who would listen to be offended, listen to be annoyed, listen to complain, listen to rank it or rate it or whatever it may be. But not bothered about them because that doesn't mean anything. How does that progress the culture in any way? That doesn't get Little Brother paid for 20 years.
Right, you know exactly.
Paid for 20 years. The gatekeeping that needs to be in place is don't fuck with us. Don't come to the culture. Try and dictate stuff. Try and tell us how to go, what we should be able to say on records, all of that kind of stuff. That's where the energy should be. There needs to be more ownership. I want to see more artists actually getting paid for what they do. Because at the end of the day, people are like, why would they not put it on stream or whatever? It's like they're not just in this to make you happy. Like, they're in this to feed themselves, their families, whatever. So I get it. Like, I get it why some of them, like, they get their watch and, you know, they're doing this on the record or whatever. I get it, because you would never see that money usually. Now you're seeing that money. That's what I mean. Yeah. You're excited. I get it. I wouldn't be spending my money on jewelry, but that's just me. If I was 20 years old, I'll probably have a different mindset. So that's
right.
Fine.
Exactly.
But we need to be more serious, man. But I think it's too late, bro. I don't see where it's gonna come from. The legends and the OGs and all that kind of stuff. Like, you've had MC Shan going in on Nas. Nas throws him a bit of money. He's all smiling again. Like, this is the mentality of a lot of the. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just took a bit of money. Like, all these years that Nas has been showing nothing but respect to that man. How many times has he bigged up that man and said MC Shan? He had him on the QB album. He took you from however long I've heard you. He threw you on that out, and now you're still going in to calling him all this and that and the other
because you weren't invited to perform. Yeah,
come on, man. So there's, until we even have a bit of loyalty ourselves,
100%. It comes from within.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting. And it comes from within.
Yeah, the respect needs to be there. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, people don't respect him. I know this is such a small thing, but when I was at the Ruin the Nas show, when Ghostface introduced Nas, and he was like, "Man, the greatest rapper alive." You know what though? Whether you agree with that or not, bro, I got goosebumps at that point because I just thought, here's Ghostface, man. Like, he's like in my top 5 of all time. We know who Nas is. He don't need no introduction, but I just love, like, the respect that he put on it. And I just feel like a lot of it isn't there amongst a lot of peers. You know what I mean? And I think we need to really just appreciate, like, everyone always brings it down to better. Like I said, there's probably a bag of MCs that technically rap better than a lot of the blueprinters, the architects, you know what I mean? The icons, the legends. It's not about better. It needs to progress. Like, if someone who started rapping in 86 ain't rapping better than someone from 2006 or 96 or whatever, then technically something is going wrong in it, because it needs to progress and it needs to be better. There needs to be technical skills and things like that. But it's always a matter of, oh, I can rap better than them, or comparing themselves to Tupac and Biggie. You don't love them so much. This is better than them. It's not about that. It's about what people do for the culture, the change that they brought to the culture. When I was speaking about race and things before, when I was saying about, it's not about your race, and it's about what you bring to the culture. That's why I will always pick up Eminem, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, he's only big because he's white. He's only big because it's horrorcore rap, or, you know, shock era rap, or whatever you want to call it. Not only is Eminem a technically brilliant rapper, he loves the culture. That's enough for me. Like, you sit Eminem down. I remember when he sat down with Sway, and he's putting out old Sway records, and Sway was like, how have you got that? Do you know what I mean? Because to him, he's like, I love the culture. You know what I mean? He'll pull out be rapping the old lyrics, and you hear how he talks about Tretch and these. You know that this was someone who was impacted by the culture and he loves the culture. So I don't care if he's white. He loves the culture. That's all that matters. What happens is a lot of people, like you said, it's a means, low hanging fruit. I like that term. It's a means to be able to come in and do something else. How many people do we see come in as rappers? Tutus, next second album, they're on a whole different wave. It's not even about hip hop no more.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But it's a way to get known, a way to come in, a way to get seen, a way to get the exposure, and then you're gone doing what you want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely has to come from within. And even things like what we're doing, like, to be honest, even things like our podcasts, even things like on social media, you're getting a lot of accounts now that are dedicated solely to talking about music. But even that, in a sense, you can tell from the stuff that they're putting out, they don't know the music they're talking about. They just know that it gets interactions. They just know that it will get retweets, it will get traffic if they start talking about, if I see another comparison of Jay-Z and Nas, or another comparison of Liquid Swords and Only Built for Cuban Links, it's like, please, like, they just want the traffic. You see what I'm saying? And that for me is like a lower scale of that. Like, you may like the culture, but it's just an opportunity to just get traffic. Do you know what I'm saying? And to get popular, social media popular. Like, just do what you're doing. Like we spoke about on our other one, we never would buy things to solely say, I own this, or this is what I have, or take a picture of it, put it down, and walk out the shop. We weren't even thinking. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's wrong now, but, you know, I know it's wrong and it didn't help the culture, but we all done it in the early days. We didn't even care if we owned the original. We just wanted, like, even if we got a dub of the album, oh, beg you, take my tape, do me a copy of it. You come back to school the next day, they got the cassette for you. You're happy. You just want to hear it and like have it to listen to. Do you know what I mean? Like, that thing about the culture sometimes is missing. And I think that's areas like that is where the gatekeeping needs to take place. We need to look at this thing, preserve the culture, and say, we're celebrating 50 years, man. Like, and that's why I want to clarify. We're not saying it needs to stay with a certain demographic of people. We're just saying, if the culture is for you and you love this culture, protect it, preserve it. When you see vultures, you don't just sit back and say, oh yeah, go on, have you know what I mean? Have my carcass, do what you want to it. Nah, you shoo it away. You're like, no, this ain't for you. You see what I'm saying? Like, but that's why
I think it's too late. I think there's too many Vlads and academics and all them kind of guys who get traction from people who have no interest in hip hop, really. Because even if when it says, that's it. That's it. Like, the people that follow them kind of guys, they didn't come up on hip hop the way we did. They couldn't have. So that's their audience. That's where they know that they're gonna get traction. They're not gonna appeal to me. Do you know what I'm saying? So they're not gonna try and appeal to me. I
don't care what the shade you
because the people that they're going for couldn't care less about. There was one dude, I put up a tweet. Like, I think I was going fishing that day. So I was like, who had the best verse on this Outkast song? Now, the people who were in the know knew that it was Big Boy solo, that whole song. There was no Andre 3K verse. So I put, who had the best verse on this Outkast song? Big Boy or Andre? So the majority of people that know their shit was like, Andre ain't got a verse on this song. A couple people was like, Andre got the best verse. So straight away, some dude was like, bro, how could he have the best verse and he ain't even on the song? Like, this dude deleted, I ain't seen him since. Like, his account was gone. But that kind of person, that's where we're at nowadays. Those are the people who come in, talk a load of bullshit, have no idea what they're talking about, just to be involved. Those are the ones.
Yeah. Because it's popular, isn't it? Everyone knows Andre is, the greatest rapper on earth, isn't he? So like, just big up Andre, just big up certain. And I know disrespect to Andre, I love Andre 3000, but you know what I'm saying? It like, you know what I mean? Just big up certain MCs, big up certain albums, and you're in. You know what I mean? That's all it is. Just talk about certain things and you're in. So people are scared. People are scared to say certain things that oh nah, you know what? This person ain't even really in my top 10. I don't really check for that person. I'm not talking about you do it to just try and stand out, but people are almost scared to say like, I don't really like that song.
Yeah. And if you do, it's like,
because you're gonna not hip hop enough.
Yeah. Nah, I ain't got time for that.
It's crazy. But I wanted to ask you this before we start wrapping up, though.
Yeah.
We're establishing, obviously, that hip hop does need gatekeeping to a degree. A lot of people say, oh, gatekeeping, I don't like the sound of it because it sounds arrogant. Like, who are you to say that I can't be a part of the culture? That's not what we're saying. We mean like what we've spoken about, preserving and not allowing is two different things. We're talking about preserving. So if you was to say you had to appoint a few artists in hip hop to be the gatekeepers, so to speak, who would you appoint? Just like a few MCs or groups or whatever.
KRS-One comes to mind immediately because that dude was throwing people off stage, getting the whack rappers out of here since the beginning. Yeah. So I've got to respect that. Definitely would have been Sean Price, R.I.P. Sean Price would have been an amazing gatekeeper. Prodigy would have been another one. Nowadays, I'd say someone like Ransom. Ransom gets it. I'd even say someone like Westside Gunn. I think Westside Gunn is good for hip hop. I think he's
his artistry. Yeah,
I think he's got that attitude of I don't really give a shit because I know I'm good. Like he thinks he's the greatest, and I obviously don't agree with that, but I kind of respect a lot of other artists respect him a lot. So I can only take it on. He hasn't done any of them wrong. He made sure that they're paid, and you know what I mean. Everything that he's pretty much done is. I think him and Conway had a little thing, but they're obviously cool again now. They're literally brothers. So there's got to be disagreements, but I think in general he's pretty much been good for hip hop. Like he brought back that feeling with a lot of Griselda's stuff. I think he'd be good as well because I don't think he'd give a shit. Who else would I say? Yeah, I think those three would be good.
Yeah, they're good choices. Good choices. I definitely agree with KRS. I do Chuck D definitely. Like, if I was making hip hop a religion, Chuck D would have to be one of the gods. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Oh, I got one more. Ice-T. Ice-T would have to be on mine.
Oh, yeah. Good one. Ice-T, that'd be good actually. Zero nonsense, zero tolerance as well. Zero tolerance, man. I'd go at Rakim. I think he'd bar wise, he'd be a good gatekeeper for like content, I think. And on that same vein, people even though I'm not the biggest fan, but even people like Kendrick and that, because I think they are people that are keeping lyrical artistry alive in hip hop. You know what I mean? Even people like Wayne, as most people know, Wayne and Baby and that kind of thing, because as we were speaking about earlier, it was a struggle for a lot of people to eat. Like, but not saying they were the only ones or the first ones, but that whole independent movement, man. Like, I love that, man. It's so important for the culture, because for an artist to be able to be free, do what they're doing, know that they're going to eat, know that they're getting paid, and you know what I mean. Like, I think that's not highlighted and celebrated enough. Like, people that do that kind of thing, Master P, Young Money, Cash Money, all that, them kind of movements. So anyone who had the mastermind behind that kind of thing, they should be involved in gatekeeping as well. People like E40, people that love the culture but are also business-minded entrepreneurs, that's good. I wouldn't even say Jay-Z, even though business-wise he's probably the blueprint. Do you know what I mean? There's something about him that you feel like, I don't know if this guy even really cares about the culture. Just you know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but you just get that feeling.
He hadn't shown up for anything about the 50th, and I was like, damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you kind of feel like.
But they make a good point.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably following his wife around the world at the moment, innit? Because I know she's touring and that. But I don't know, I just feel like you get that sense from him. I don't know the guy, innit? But you get that sense from him where it's like, I can't even think of a time I've heard him talk about the culture or hip hop. Like, it's usually what it means to him or what it does for him. Like, I've never really heard him talk about the culture. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think people like that, man, definitely. Newer MCs, newer people. Boy, I'm trying to think new words, man. Yeah, I think you done well with West Side Gun. Definitely, I think that whole movement there, Griselda's of like integral part of where it's going. People like Gibbs as well, because he's fun.
I'm just gonna say Freddie Gibbs, someone like him.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
And someone
he's
like
fun, he's serious about it.
Latifah being like the CEO of Flavor Unit way back in the day.
Yeah,
like, I think she could. Yeah, I think she could keep. She could definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Latifah, Salt and Pepper, people like that, because their whole thing was the empowerment of women in hip hop and all that. So that would be good. It's a shame what's happening with Salt and Pepper and Cinderella, man. But yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, there are a few names to throw out, man. Gatekeeping. It's necessary. It's a necessary part of the culture if it's done right, and for the right reasons. We love it. It's just like your children, your baby. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just send them out. You protect them, preserve them. You do what you can to make sure they're good. Do you know what I mean? In a world that, for the most part, doesn't really have their best interest at heart. Do you know what I mean? You're a parent. You're a parent. I'm a parent. You know what it's like with your children. You know, you preserve them. You do all the training you can, but ultimately you're trying to show them without being negative. This world ain't really for you. Do you know what I mean? So you need to do what you need to do and survive it. Yeah, same with hip hop, man. It needs preserving, and thank God for 50 years. But I think we do need to preserve it, and that's not just the artists. That's the culture. That's platforms and all them kind of things, man. When you see people just ultimately trying to just eat off of this thing and have no desire to further it for the better, you know, I know we can't physically shut it down, but there's little things we can do, like you mentioned earlier, even if it's not clicking on that, like even if it's just not talking about it, not responding to certain things. Because like, I don't really have time for that. All them shade room, all them places, they're blocked. I don't entertain them. You know, you got real things out here, like what we're doing, other podcasts that we support, and other people that are promoting the culture, man. You know what I mean? Do what you need to do to support them and put them out there. But yeah, gatekeep.
Yeah, totally agree with that, man. Totally agree with that. So yeah, man, I guess it would be a good place for you guys to leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think about gatekeeping in hip hop. Does there need to be more? Is there enough? So yeah, man, we'll be back next week with another topic. Got some good shit coming up, so stick with us. I'm gonna have some guests on. Can't tell you who they are. So yeah, got some good shit in the pipeline, man, over the next few weeks. So once again, thanks for rocking with us as you always do. So yeah, once again from me, I'm out, and my co-host extraordinaire,
The Major, My Type of Hype, the podcast that celebrates hip hop and not just the hype. 50 years of this beautiful thing, man. Keep celebrating, keep loving it, keep supporting it, protecting it, preserving it. Yeah, man, keep it hype. Stay blessed. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Thank you.